Hey guys, it's Adam here, and I just got back from the Bethesda conference. I was invited to that in a more formal, official capacity, so got my little wristband thing here and BE3 and all this stuff. These are cool. They actually light up, or at least they did. I think they're like remote controlled or something. I don't know. And there's my media badge and my I'm 21 and over, so I can drink type of thing, even though I don't drink. But anyway, so yeah, I got to go to the Bethesda conference, so I apologize for the shoddy camera work and stuff. I'm in Los Angeles at the moment. So I just wanted to give you a recap of what basically happened at Bethesda's conference, like I did with Microsoft. I'm sorry I missed the EA one. I already said that I just kind of spaced on it. By the time I was even aware that it had happened, it was already over, and I just never had the chance to do anything about it, although I'm told I really didn't miss much. And I did the Microsoft one, lucky enough to get myself into that. And I will be going to the Ubisoft conference tomorrow, so I'm hoping that I'm able to do another one of these based on what Ubisoft does. Only issue with that is that I have a very, very busy day tomorrow, so I would, if the video comes out, it'll be a tad late, much like this one. So after the conference, there was a party, and that's part of what slowed down my progress, because I was hanging out with Kelsey Lewin. She's a friend of mine. I'm sure you guys, a lot of you know her from the Metal Jesus Rocks crew. So yeah, it's whatever. We were hanging out at the party and then eating and free food, and then you get to take photos and get some swag. You got some Fallout random stuff, and actually the best thing, honestly, a bottle of Quantum Cola. This shit's actually really good. Kind of like our blue raspberry type of soda. Fallout masks and stuff like that. But yeah, cool stuff. Anyway, that's not why we're here. What we're here to do right now is talk about their conference and how it went. First of all, fucking awesome. Probably the best way to describe that conference. They had a lot of energy to it, a lot of cool stuff, and they had a great sense of humor. I mean, like, a great sense of humor. Like, I was really surprised. They were dropping F-bombs, which I thought, the fuck, which I thought was funny, because they would do it in such good context, which I'm pro swearing if you've been watching me for years. But, I wasn't expecting them to do that at, a major conference. So that was a hell of a show to go to. So let's just go through some of the titles. I got my little post-it note here, and I'll just talk a little bit about my opinions on some of the stuff that happened. So Rage 2, that opened hilariously because they made a joke about basically the fact that Walmart Canada had screwed it up by accidentally leaking it. And they owned that. Unlike a lot of the companies, they owned the fact that game was being released. And then they made a joke about it, and they showed us a bunch of the gameplay. They had a cool band come out. I don't even like music all that much, but I gotta admit, even I was like, fuck yeah! My heart was fucking pounding and shit. That was a cool performance right there at the beginning. The game itself looked really, really cool. And I'm looking forward to checking it out. It kind of had this weird, in my mind, this is just what was going through my mind. Obviously, it's a sequel to the original Rage. But when I was looking at it, it felt like a weird fusion of, Fallout, and to a lesser extent, BioShock, with, the upgrades and things like that. I don't know, that was my instinct. I'm not saying that's actually how it ultimately plays or anything, but, yeah, it looked really cool. So, I'm excited about that. Hopefully they learned the lessons of the first one, which was a big, expansive game, but ultimately just didn't have much at its core. Hopefully they figured that one out. To be honest, I know it was leaked, but it would have been a big shocker, and I want to acknowledge that, because the original Rage didn't really do all that well, so for this to even exist is surprising. So it's good for them, and I'm glad they had a giant, amazing sense of humor about it. The next thing they talked about was Elder Scrolls Legends, which is a digital card game. It's not my thing, so whatever. I really don't have much of an opinion on that. Then they went on about Elder Scrolls Online. Somerset specifically is the DLC expansion that's coming about, and then they announced that there's going to be another one after that. Again, Elder Scrolls Online is not my thing either. I for the people who play that game, and it's a big game, good on them. You're going to get a whole lot more lore. I know the Argonians are going to get a whole big section that's going to be a thing, so that's really cool. So, hey, awesome. Doom Eternal, which is the new Doom game. That took about half a second to figure out what it was when they started showing it, because it was basically an awesome 3D rendering of that original Doom box art. And I was like, oh, new Doom game. So I didn't know if it was a remake or if they were going to actually call it Doom 2, but no, Doom Eternal. That's the name of the game, and it looked fucking badass. But again, what we saw was a mock-up of the Hell scenario. There wasn't much else to it, but I'm sure that that's going to be great. Quake Champions, which is already now playable. It was actually playable at the party. They just had like a whole bunch of PCs set up where you could play it, but I just really didn't want to do that. I wanted to take advantage of the free food because I'm fat, and free drinks, like again, a bunch of these, as coffee and all that fun stuff, and of course hanging out with my friends. So I didn't end up playing that. There's an update for the game Prey, and I gotta admit that one kind of surprised me. Like, Prey I think did fine, but to see that it actually had an update coming, not only an update, there's an update that's going out, if it's not already out now, which is going to have a couple additional game modes, and then there's a DLC called Moon Crash coming out, which actually looked really cool. So that should be a lot of fun. Very cool. That's going to be a thing. Wolfenstein Young Blood, which is a new game coming about. That looked awesome, and that's where they actually dropped the first F-bomb when they were talking about how they basically said somewhere in there like they're totally fine with bringing it to like every platform because they just want to show the world fuck Nazis. Like, that was the actual quote, was fuck Nazis. I was like, all right, man. So yeah, that was cool. Then they talked about a couple of different PR games, or VR. Did I say PR? Public relations. No, VR, virtual reality games. The first one is part of Prey is going to be in there, specifically something called, I wrote Typhoon Hunter. I don't think that's right. Probably Typhoon Hunter or something like that. My handwriting is chicken scratch, and even I can't read it sometimes. Plus, you're in a dark room, like jotting down notes, so it's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, there's going to be an expansion for Prey that's compatible with VR. I think more so for PC, though it probably will support PSVR. But they kind of made an emphasis about how the PC versions are more, frankly, relevant. And then the other one is a Wolfenstein Cyberpilot, and maybe that was actually where you said fuck Nazis. But either way, like, yeah, that was cool as hell. So flipping it over, they started to talk about Fallout 76, and then they switched gears to one of the best practical gags I've seen a conference ever do. They were talking about the infamous joke with Bethesda now is like, what platform are they going to announce that Skyrim is on this time? Because they did that for the last 2 years in a row. They were just putting it on more platforms. So they made an entire video dedicated to the new platforms they're putting it on. The first and the big joke was the Amazon Echo, which is a voice-operated, bot thing. If you haven't seen it, just I can't do it justice. Just watch that. It's that little bit. It's fucking hilarious about how it's coming onto the Amazon Echo, and then it's coming onto an Etch-a-Sketch, and then it's coming onto that LCD screen in your fridge if your fridge has one. It was very, very funny. And then I liked that they owned the joke. There was a lot of energy to that. That was cool. Then they, of course, went on about Fallout 76, which they had a lot to say. And, of course, they had a whole lot of thoughts at the time. They addressed some of them, other ones they didn't. It's going to be basically an online game, but it does seem intense. They said it's going to still have, a single-player mode. I don't know if it's going to be single-player offline, or if it still requires an internet connection even when you are playing single player. If that's the case, that's unfortunate for this old school gamer, but I know that's not the direction the world's going. But the way it's designed is kind of like they're really giving you this world, and you can form little teams because, as you pointed out, it's the apocalypse. There's only going to be dozens of people wandering around, not thousands like most online content. So you're going to have full access to the ability to make teams if you want, the ability to kill each other if you want, the ability to even use nuclear weapons and destroy entire towns of other people playing the game. It could be complete chaos. I do wonder what kind of control system that's going to have, though, because people do fundamentally act like assholes and stuff like that. So it might be one of these games where you do tons and tons of work and it just gets ruined by someone else, and it's just is the fan base going to be too frustrated to enjoy that? I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. I haven't played it, or anything like that. I don't know. But curious, obviously. And I'm sure that'll be a big game. For my other channel, Game Society, it sounded like it could be a match made in heaven for that channel to make video content about. So that's very, very cool. And I'm sure a whole host of people have tons and tons of opinions on Fallout 76. So that's mine. I'll keep it short and sweet. It looks pretty cool. The next thing up they talked about was Elder Scrolls Blades, which was a mobile game, which, it looked neat visually. They're making a big deal about how it works really well on your phone and everything like that, and it's amazing for a phone and all that stuff. And it's also going to be on other platforms, including PS4 and Switch. Interestingly, not Xbox One. Not sure why. It makes sense on the Switch because it's already a tablet thing. I don't know why PS4 then. Maybe because it's got that like touchpad on the controller and the Xbox One simply doesn't. I don't know. Maybe that's all it is. But yeah, that could be it. Free game, download, try it when it happens. It's not out yet. But yeah, so that'll be a thing. But I kept the logical thought that was going through your head at that time was, really, you spent all the effort on that, knowing full well everybody wants Elder Scrolls 6? That's kind of weird. We'll get back to that. So that was like the last one they announced that was like right around the corner. And then they basically said like, so we know that you know these games are coming, but we also want to tell you some games that we're working on. They're a while away, but just so you know, we're actually working on them. The first one was a game called Starfield, which we didn't really see much of. We saw a little bit of, and it looked cool, but like, never heard of the IP, don't know anything about it. It was like, you know, you see a shot of the planet and like a solar, like a space station or whatever, and like that's all you kind of got out of it. But like, I could believe that they'd make some sort of cool ass like space game, like an open world, like trapped on some sort of big space station or some sort of weird planet. You know, like who knows? We don't know. That could be really cool. And of course, the one everyone that might have debatably even stole the show away from Fallout 76 potentially, they announced Elder Scrolls 6. I got to be in the room when they announced Elder Scrolls 6. That's pretty fucking cool. Obviously, it was a very small teaser, just basically showing the landscape and the title. I mean, it wasn't even the full title. Like, we don't... It's Elder Scrolls 6. We don't know, like, what random word will be under it, if it's some other country in Tamriel or what the deal is. We don't have that information yet, but very, very cool. So, overall, guys, I would just... Bethesda might have stole that show. Like, last year... You know, I watched all the conferences. The only one I got to go to was Ubisoft's, but their show was great, and I still argue they won that year. They won E3 2017. Obviously, E3 is not over, but between the two I saw today, I saw Microsoft's and I saw Bethesda's. I obviously nobody was claiming EA won anything, but between those, man, I gotta say, Bethesda, man, you crushed it. You fucking crushed it. You did an unbelievable job with that show. That was really something. A lot of great surprises, a lot of entertainment. It was really very, very cool. So if you haven't seen it, guys, or at least you want to go back and check out the highlights, you totally should. It was awesome. So Ubisoft, you got to try to top that. I don't know how you can at this point, but I'll give you. Obviously, you got a chance tomorrow. So hopefully, I can report back to you guys on that. And I'm not going to Sony's unless something randomly happens, which is entirely possible. So if I can, I'll announce that. And Nintendo's thing is totally different. You can't even go to that. So we'll see. But yeah, I guess that's kind of it. Overall, I'd say they did a fucking awesome job, man. That was an amazing show to be part of. And it was much smaller. It was very, very, very finely controlled, like who got in there. So I thank you to Bethesda, even though I don't think you'll ever see this video. Thank you to them for selecting me for whatever reason to do that. That was a lot of fun. It was really, really, very, very, very cool. So, and thank you guys for watching. Also, thank you to Kelsey Lewin for hanging out with me. She's a lot of fun hanging out with. It was her first conference. She never got to go to an E3 conference before, so that was very cool. That I guess I could be there, even though we weren't anywhere near each other at the actual conference that had assigned seating. But yeah, still very, very cool. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later.